Hey, 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 ho, ho, ho. Here we go. It's time for another episode of the Purposeful Powerhouse podcast. And if you haven't guessed, today we are talking about the holidays. The holiday season is upon us. And I don't know if you can see me. If you're just listening to the audio, you won't be able to, but I am wearing a sparkly holiday hat. It's a little hot. I live in Hawaii, so I'm probably going to take it off because it will serve a point later on. But yeah, it's all decked out because we're decking the house. Whether or not you celebrate what you celebrate, if it's just another month for you, we're going to talk about how you can navigate the hectic-ness of this month and this potential season smoother than Santa on his sleigh, so you can be merry and bright all the way till New Year's Day. I just saw the movie Wicked, and so now everything I say rhymes, and I just want to sing it. So be warned. I won't sing the whole time, but it happens a lot. You probably, if you've been listening for a while, already know that I have a tendency to do this. So, yeah, let's talk about the holidays. I always think, when we're going through these situations, I always bring a quote to mind from the lovely and wise Ram Dass, who I had the pleasure of meeting a couple times as he used to live here on Maui. And his quote, I think, is pretty relevant, whether or not you're spending it with your direct relatives, like your blood relatives, or other types of relatives. His quote was, "If you think you're enlightened, spend a week with your family. If you think you're enlightened, spend a week with your family." And I thought, well, if Ram Dass has trouble with that, then I think the rest of us get a pass as well. Because what he's speaking to is that, no matter how much nervous system regulation and therapy and processing and who knows what else you've done to navigate, what's happened in your life, it can be a lot to be in those situations, and it can be really triggering. I believe me when I say, why do you think I live out in the middle of the ocean? I see my family periodically and I love it, and it's in small doses. But for people that, really jump back into that during the holidays, that can be a lot, right? An overdose, if you will, sometimes, of the family kind. And so, we just want to moderate our doses so that we're taking healthy doses of everything. That could be a side point. So let's talk about, whether you're celebrating traditional holidays, whether you have your own special rituals, maybe you like to celebrate the solstice, whatever it is for you, how to really take care of yourself over these next few weeks and protect your peace ultimately, right? That's what this is ultimately all about in whatever situation you are in. Because the truth is, it's nice to be invited to things, and of course you want to be included. But the thing that can happen for a lot of us is overcommitting. Saying yes when you really mean no. Oh, see, here we go. Because what that can lead to, overcommitting and saying yes and doing the things, or staying too long, or feeling like you have to do it a certain way, that can feel like a lot of pressure, and that can lead to exhaustion, burnout, and if we're not doing some of the other things we're going to talk about, can kind of set the stage for, overindulging ourselves. Maybe we don't sleep enough, all the things that can tend to happen that can kind of be a slippery slope, right? Not to mention set us up to be sometimes resentful if we're feeling like, oh, I'm supposed to go on holiday and I just have all these things to do. That's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure, not to mention the potential financials of gift buying and how extravagant is it and all of those things. Like, that's a lot. This is a potentially a really pressurized time of year for a lot of people. And because of that pressure, one thing that tends to happen is skipping self-care. And the thing is that that that's the foundation for everything, and that when you take care of yourself, you have a higher capacity, a higher ability to do all the other things, right? But yet it's one of those things that we're like, oh, I'll get to it in the new year. Oh, it's fine, I'll just get back to it on January 2nd or whenever. But the reality is, and we'll talk about this more in a minute, is that we can find ways to sprinkle this in, okay, if you will, and so that you have these small little drips of it throughout the day, woven throughout the tapestry of your holiday experience, if you will, so that you can stay grounded, right? So you can protect your peace, because it all does add up. And the reality is that especially in these crazy busy times, it's really important that we really let go of that, oh, this is my routine, this is how I do it, this is what I do every day. Unless that's your jam and that's how you can really stick with it, is that a lot of times we have these super strict ideas of what it should be like, and then we get frustrated if we can't do our thing, or eat a certain way or what have you. We want to just really allow yourself the space and the grace to find ways to make this work for you so that you can continue to show up feeling happy, feeling grounded, enjoying the celebrations that you decide to go to, right? Rather than overdoing it and ending up just overwhelmed, or maybe, getting a cold or whatever. And so let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. So this is the first one, is how can you take the pressure off yourself a little bit, right? Can you look at this from the perspective of, okay, everything adds up, right? And we want to make sure that, we're not totally tossing our routine out the window because we're like, I'll get back to it in January. How can you find ways to focus on what's in front of you so that you can really cultivate that connection, the presence, and not really have it need to be perfect, but really just finding ways to take the guilt out of the equation and make sure that that in order for you to, show up and go cut the tree down or whatever it is that you do, it requires that you have your tank topped up, and whatever that looks like for you. Okay. So we want to find ways to kind of take the pressure off. And, from saying this a different way or looking at it from a different perspective, is that because this is a very pressurized situation potentially for people, exercise, yoga, breath work, all the things that you love to do actually helps to take the pressure off, right? So you're not just taking the pressure off in the sense of, oh, it has to be, take that desire for it to be perfect. We're taking that pressure off, but you're also releasing some of the pressure, releasing some of the stress, because you know how it feels when you are taking care of yourself, right? You feel more grounded, you feel more centered, you feel more regulated, and you are, right? You are, because your nervous system is in a more steady, connected state. Right. And if we're all wound up and pressurized, if you're in the red zone, right? If you've learned about this before, we have these different states of activation or more relaxation in our nervous system. And when we're in the red zone, that's the fight or flight. That's the stress, right? That's when we're feeling the anxiety or the stress or the like, oh my gosh, I don't even know. And, feel like you're just, one of Santa's elves that drank too much espresso and you haven't slept in 3 days and you're just tired, like that sort of frantic energy. Okay. Because, I'm sure that's what happens to the elves up in the North Pole. But you know what I'm saying, right? And that's not the vibe that you want to show up to the holiday gatherings with, I'm sure, right? And so that being said, that's important, because when we are taking the pressure off of ourselves in whatever way you choose, it really sets the stage for you to actually enjoy the events and maybe skip the messy meltdown at the ugly Christmas sweater party, right? So that's really important because, we all have a breaking point at times, a threshold of tolerance from a nervous system perspective. And we want to make sure that we are bringing ourselves back down. We're turning down the volume. We're taking some of the pressure off so that we can come back to the green zone, right? The green zone is that playful, energized, happy, grateful to be here sort of vibe. And so how can we make sure that you aren't so wound up, so exhausted, depleted, drained, running on the fumes of, 3 oat milk lattes and like the 2 almonds you found in the back of the cupboard because you haven't gone grocery shopping, or you put everything in the cookies or whatever, and you're just like, that's not it, right? Because then we show up to the Christmas party and we're hungry, and then maybe you have a couple glasses of the bubbly elf juice, and then you're like, "Wah!" And next thing you know, you're having a meltdown with your friend Sarah in the bathroom. It happens. All good. And if it does happen, then just let it happen, right? And just make sure that you have that support around you that understands. So so that's our first step. Take the pressure off. Take those 2 ways we talked about. How can we embrace the little moments? Speaking of having it be, progress, not perfection. How can we weave these little power pauses, mindful moments for yourself, with yourself, into your day? How can we find these moments of lightness and playfulness so that you are keeping your tank topped up and the pressure turned down, right? And so, think about it from a holiday perspective of, okay, so depending on your traditions and what you do in your family, maybe there's times when you are making some yummy foods, right? Maybe you're doing some baked goods. So how can you make that an act of self-care? How can you make that really fun and playful. I mean, it's not like, I mean, if you want to, you could do your squats while you like make your cookies. That's not really what I'm saying. Take that, run with it if you're down with that. Might as well, man. You might as well. But what I meant more, my first thought, I like that idea too. Of course I do, because I love when you do squats, as long as you're doing properly and engaging your glutes, okay? Is put on some music, right? Maybe holiday music is not your jam. I know it's not for everybody. I don't know what it is about me. Maybe I was an elf in another life, but I love me some Christmas music. It makes me happy. So maybe you put on some music that you like, right? It's something light and playful, upbeat, and do that while you're making your whatevers, maybe you're making Christmas star cookies or Hanukkah, or I don't know, or maybe solstice rings, who knows, right? Put on some music and turn it into something fun, right? Rather than this arbitrary chore. Or for example, if you exchange gifts with people, right? And making sure you're, using recycled paper or whatever, I don't know, side note. But how can you turn that into an act of presence? Can you wrap that gift and be in a place of connection to the person that you're giving it to, and breathing and just feeling yourself being very present as you wrap the gift? And that's another way to really infuse more love into it. They will maybe feel that, right? But most importantly, in that moment, you're taking that opportunity to really tap into the energy of love and gratitude and joy, which is such a healing frequency in your body. Plus, if you couple that with slow, deep breathing, you're actually doing a breath style called heart coherence. In yoga, we call that breath the samavriti, because you're taking nice, deep, even breaths. But heart coherence means that your heart is in a nice, steady rhythm. You're tapped into that elevated emotional state. And then that actually signals beautiful, incredible things up to your brain. Your brain matches that rhythm. It sends a signal of ease and safety and spaciousness to your body, and lends to healing and groundedness, nervous system regulation. It's beautiful. Okay. So that's a really very powerful tool that you could play with. And that could be, when you're baking too, or, when you're making the food, like you're infusing it with love, right? Like when a grandmother or tutu or someone is making food, they're feeling that deep love for all of the people while they're doing it. Like you can taste the love when it's homemade stuff. Okay. So finding these little micro moments of joy. That's really what this is, how to weave those little power pauses into these next few weeks so that you are really having those moments to come back to the whole reason for the season, right? Is connection and celebration and love and playfulness and times together, presence, right? And so that's truly what it is about. And then, another opportunity to take a power pause is before you go into gatherings that might be a little bit of a little button pushing scenario. How can you prime yourself? Is you can do a power pose. So power poses are a powerful tool that we use inside the anxiety and stress reset that I teach all of my clients, that you can really do anywhere, anytime. It's a strong activation through your body. You plant your feet down, you lift yourself up, you open up your body, you place your hands on your hips, and you really feel this strength within yourself. So feel this strength activated through your whole body. Open up your body, hands on your hips. Power poses are incredible. What's happening inside your body is your cortisol, your stress levels are coming down. Your testosterone levels, which is your activation, your motivation hormone levels, are going up. So it's bringing you into this really, really grounded, empowered state so that you go into that gathering from that place. Or if something happens at said gathering and you're like, ah, then go to the bathroom and do your power pose, right? Yes, you might be tempted to take some shots while you're in there. That's not going to help. It's really important that you continually tend to your body through these moments, right? We tend to have these escape valves, which it's all good. I mean, I'm working myself on my relationship with alcohol, and so I understand. But it's really important that you're doing these foundational things so that you can literally hold and stand your ground in those moments. Okay, that's what this is about. And then the last thing I wanted to share was one thing that is really powerful for me and for many people and for many of my clients is to set the day up for success with time for yourself in the morning, right? Because we have these great intentions. Oh, I'll get to it later. I'll do it later. One of my mantras, which you maybe have heard me say before, do it first, get it done. And that's really why amplifying your morning routine is super powerful because you already have a morning routine, right? Whether or not it really serves and supports you to be able to navigate the holidays and stay merry and bright, that's for you to answer. Is it grabbing your phone and going right into things and and then stress levels going up, 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 up? Or is your morning routine to align your mind with your vision and how you want to show up to these events? Move your body so it's strong and healthy. And all the time, really coming back to that intentionality of how you want to feel, how you want to show up, caring so much about how you feel that you're making and taking that space for yourself that morning. That's huge. That's what amplifying your morning routine is about. And that can literally be 5 minutes, right? So you can turn on some music and take a shaky break and just shake out your body or do some exercises or whatever. That can be your amplified morning routine. It can be 15 minutes, right? Or 30 minutes, whatever you have. It's really setting that foundational space for yourself, giving yourself that well-deserved love and attention so that you show up from that place. That's what it's all about, is you decide how you're showing up into each and every day. That's the premise of that. And that's the why it's so impactful, right? It's rather than just kind of slipping into the day-to-day of, grabbing your phone, grabbing coffee, and then off you go. And before you know it, you've been sitting at your desk for 3 hours and you stand up and you're like, creak, 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 groan, 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 because your body doesn't love sitting for that long. So when you move in the morning, it has incredible benefits, which you may or may not have heard me speak to before, but it's so important for your overall health and happiness and well-being and longevity. Okay, let's just talk about your longevity for a second. Is exercise is so incredibly impactful for that. And ideally, it's in a way that's fun, right? It doesn't have to be like militant or arbitrary or like, oh, Megan says I have to do 15 minutes. No, I want it to really light you up, right? That's why it's so beneficial to find and work with somebody that you really enjoy moving with, that does it in a fun place, playful way, that leaves you feeling all lit up and sparkly on the inside, which is BT dub, what I do in my sessions. But would love to have you join us and check that out if you'd like. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. Some tips to really hopefully give you some inspiration to be able to navigate the next few weeks, right? And to be able to really do the most important thing of all, is to take care of yourself. Self-care is not selfish, it's selfless. It's self-serving in the best possible way. You're serving yourself so that you can serve and show up in that expanded, happy, grounded, ready, desired state, so that you are not just going on autopilot and just powering through and you're like, please, when is that ball going to drop? 2025, let's go, let's get this over with. No, how can you be present with all of this presence and gift giving? How can you be present with yourself first so that you can be present in these beautiful moments that you get to spend with your loved ones? So that's what I wanted to share with you. Thank you so much for being here. And actually, last thing to wrap up, we are going to be doing the anxiety and stress reset again in January. We're running it live. So if you know that after the holidays into the new year, you want to really start that intention that you have for the year to really prioritize how you feel, show up for yourself, having these tools to be able to navigate your life and the new year and resetting that beautiful foundation for yourself in a way that really supports you at the deepest level, so that you're doing these little moments and acts of self-care without having to do a big lifestyle overhaul, in a way that actually allows you to live your life and feel the way you want to feel each day, right? Not just on random days or when you finally get to go on a holiday, but how can you bring more movement and play and joy into your workday? And I think that that probably will really align with your intentions. I mean, I don't know what your intentions are for the new year, but I'm willing to bet there's somewhere along the lines of feeling happier, feeling healthier, feeling more grounded, enjoying each day a little bit more, making sure to make some time and space for your body, your mind, your spirit. That's what the reset is all about. Learning how to take those powerful little pauses throughout the day to really weave that beautiful intention into your day in a way that's not overwhelming, right? 2 minutes at a time. So powerful, so powerful. So the link to grab your spot for that is in the show notes, and we would love to have you join us. Thank you so much for being part of this incredible community. This has been an incredible first year together, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Take care.